Hello, welcome to Talking Points. Well, it's an inconvenient truth, but delegates at the 16th UN climate change talks, now taking place in Cancun, Mexico, say we should not hold our breath for a treaty this year. As the two-week summit enters its home stretch and higher level ministers join the table, everyone's hard at work lowering expectations. Right up to UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. He's urging delegates to focus on salvaging smaller agreements. Now, the real shocker came early on. That's when Japan, the birthplace of the 1997 Kyoto Protocol that called on rich nations to limit their carbon emissions, said it would oppose extending the treaty when it expires in 2012. Now, do lower expectations mean that Cancun's a total failure? Isn't a summit that agrees on small steps better than no summit at all? With me to discuss today are two scientists. On my right, Serge Gallam, welcome. You are a physicist and a senior researcher at the National Center for Scientific Research here in Paris. And on my left, Georg Hoffmann, you are a climate change researcher, and you are with the Laboratory for Climate and Environment Sciences.
Exactly.
A long name, but I hope I got it right.
Yeah.
We are hearing that the Kyoto Protocol, which anyone who knows anything about climate change knows those two words, Kyoto Protocol. We're hearing we may not get a treaty to replace it out of this summit. We might not even see one next year. Are you alarmed, Serge?
I am not alarmed at all, because I would like everyone to remember 1 year ago when we were at the Copenhagen summit. Everyone was saying that in case we don't get a very strong agreement, it will be the end of the world and it will be too late. Now, 1 year after, everyone is now saying not much is going to get out of the Cancun meeting, and no, there is no much alarmism. So the question is, what was motivated the alarmism of 1 year ago, and why today people are more pragmatic? And the reality is show that they were making too much alarmism before.
But we're only 1 year later, and some people fear that if we keep having summits like this, I suppose, they will lose their credibility. People think they don't get anything done.
Yes, and we will get, because the thing is badly engaged, and I think that the whole idea of global reducing of carbon dioxide is a wrong idea, but this is a political issue, and I am not an expert as a political issue. However, my point is that the scientific basis, which will like to drive a very drastic reduction of emission, is not funded. So this is why now that we are facing real much urgent problem, socially, economically, ecologically, which is different from climatology. And when we have to face this problem, it will be much better.
Georg, you just heard Serge say there the scientific basis is not completely founded, suggesting, now he's not saying he's a climate change skeptic, he's just saying we don't have enough scientific data to say with any certainty that this is a real problem.
Well, my opinion obviously is different. I think about 20 years ago, climate science gave enough information to the policymakers to take decisions, because simply there are never 100% certainty in scientific information besides of mathematics. But always, if you make an estimate, what will be the impact of Chikungunya in La Réunion, what will be the impact of certain health issues for the populations. These are estimates. You can't make perfect calculations before, but that doesn't mean that viruses doesn't exist. So in case, if you understand my analogy with climate, we have a very, very good understanding of what the greenhouse effect is, how it works. We have a good understanding that more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere will rise the temperature. Then, of course, there's a chain of uncertainties behind, and we have to live with this. We have to take decision living with these kind of uncertainties. And Cancun has to somehow fiddle between scientific uncertainties and political will to handle these uncertainties.
And this is the question, Serge, I want to throw this right back at you, because isn't there always going to be some reasonable doubt? I mean, in other words, if we wait till the moment of absolute certainty based on absolute data, it will be too late.
Yes, this is a very important issue, because when we are talking about uncertainty and science, usually what can make... I will take an example about medicine. And I would say that medicine is not a science in the sense that physics is not science. However, why it can save millions of people, it's because we have millions of living people on which we can experiment, we can have data, we can try and check and have statistics. The main problem with the planet that we have only one planet and one climate. So you cannot, to use a statistic, a certainty, it's not possible. So to engage the whole world in a drastic change without really having done any strong prediction which would have been validated by reality is totally, it's a bid on the future. So I am not against that. Society can say we want to bid and change to a new world. I am not saying that our common world of today is the only possible world. I even don't like this world. I would prefer another one, but this is a political issue. It is not a scientific issue.
We're living on this planet. How do we do? I mean, it suggests that we have to conduct studies on Mars, Venus, Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn before we start to take it seriously on Earth.
Obviously, that will be impossible. I mean, the demand of 100% certainty is impossible. We agree on that. So the question is, from one point on, the subjective feeling of a policymaker, of us, of everyone in a democracy, is now we have to take actions. We don't know. Let's remember one important measure that has been taken on a global scale, which was the Montreal Protocol. It was about the reduction of CFCs, gases which are destroying the ozone layer in the stratosphere of this planet. So the scientific basis at that time, we are speaking of about 82, I think.
Yes.
In 82 was not complete. It was not at all complete. Afterwards, there was a Nobel Prize for the people who gave the right explanation for this ozone hole. But at that time, with incomplete information and in certainly an issue which was much less important than now, the CO2 reduction, but they took the decision to prohibit the production of CFCs. That was, I think, the most successful example of global, I would say, global engineering by imposing global rules.
The point is that this was a very precise element. That means if today you will tell me that it will be very easy for the world to say we cut by 50% our emission of carbon dioxide within 1 year, and then okay, why not to do? I am not a lover of carbon dioxide. The point is that we are also getting into a big geopolitical fight between what is called emergent, but they already have emerged from a long time, of China, Brazil, India, which are starting already from the economic viewpoint to get stronger than the old Western world. And I am very scared that this kind of CO2 fight can be used and will be used to prevent their also accessing maybe to political leadership in the world. And to save the world, we will go maybe against, and like it was during colonialism, it's so easy.
Okay, you don't want this to be used to political ends. We can understand that. But Serge, let me just cut in and ask you. A lot of scientists, you could say a majority, in fact, of the scientific community, they're warning that on current trends, if nothing is done, temperatures could rise as much as 4 degrees Celsius in the next 50 years. We could see massive floods, desertification, we could see famine, we could even see war.
Yes, but the point is, if you will take this prediction seriously, which I don't, but let's take them let's take them seriously.
You don't take it seriously because
they are not they have not been validated by reality. But let's say this is
it hasn't risen yet 4 degrees. I'm just trying to.
Okay, so there is a model today, and one has to make a difference between a model and the reality. A model is supposed to represent the reality. However, as long as it has not been check against the reality, you cannot say that it is the reality. So if we take this scenario, in order to avoid this 4-degree increase, we will have to reduce our carbon dioxide emission by more than 80% within 10 years. And this is on solid ground impossible. That means no agreement will be able, it will mean that we stop all our cars in the world.
Okay.
So if we will take seriously this alarmist vision, it's over and it's too late. So there is no sense.
What about, Georg, the fact that Cancun right now, beyond the alarmism, they're just trying to look at small steps right now. They're trying to look at deforestation to prevent that. They're trying to look at ways of sharing technology, helping pay for poorer countries to oversee their climate change. Surely these are good measures that you'd approve of.
I think nobody will be really seriously against deforestation, and everyone agrees on that. My feeling is with these kind of conferences, there are too much issues. They are discussing from deforestation to third world development, to health issues, to so many issues that at the end the central point, reducing CO2 emissions, somehow gets immersed by too much. So if I have a critique of these kind of Kyoto, Cancun conferences, I would rather recommend to reduce the number of nations that are participating in this kind of negotiations. Say, let's take the 20 largest emitters, and they have to find an agreement between them. This is 80% of the 20 largest emitters. This is 80 or even more than 80% of the global CO2 emissions. They have to agree on this specific issue. I don't say that avoiding deforestation is not important. This is very important. But, you charge one conference over 2 weeks with so many issues. It becomes, at least in the media, you have the feeling this is a conference that saves the world.
Too much on the table. There's too much on the table.
Yeah.
China and the U.S., though, are far and away the world's biggest polluters. The U.S. has never even signed the Kyoto Protocol. Can you argue, Serge?
Actually, they signed, if I may correct you. It was a Clinton.
They never ratified it.
They never ratified it.
The Congress never ratified it. And now we have a Republican Congress coming in, a lot of skeptics on climate change. If the U.S. isn't on the game here, nothing can happen.
Yeah, because China will not do it, and everyone will understand. And if America and China don't do it, so why should we?
No agreement at all.
Yes, why to do it? I think that this kind of conference, and this is why I am happy that they are tackling this kind of problem as deforestation, because again, if we take seriously the alarmist program of IPCC, then I would say somehow it's already too late. So we should concentrate our mean at the global world to be able to answer, to adjust to climate catastrophe as we will be facing. That means in order to have mean to react quickly at the world level, because this happens everywhere and no one knows exactly where it's going to happen. And I think this will be nice to develop at the world level a kind of very team and means to be able to intervene immediately to help when things happen. So we have to learn and to develop adaptation to climate change. I think this is a more realistic view than to say that we will change the climate temperature by our action.
I'm going to give you the last word, Georg. Cancun summit over in a few days. Is it a failure?
Well, obviously, I'm just a mean newspaper reader as you are, or as might be Serge, you are. My impression is they will not come to agreement. Fundamental different interests between the emerging developing countries and, for example, the US will not permit a global agreement right now, but might be if you are a positive and optimistic person, small steps will lead to that in the future. I'm not that optimistic, it's true.
And we're going to have to unfortunately leave it there, but small steps, even Ban Ki-moon, UN Secretary General, saying the perfect should not be the enemy of the good at this summit. I'll leave it with Ban Ki-moon there. But thank you very much to my two guests for joining us. Serge Gallum, a physicist, senior researcher at the National Center for Scientific Research. Georg Kaufmann, climate change researcher at the Laboratory for Science and Environmental Sciences, both of you in Paris. You have been watching Talking Points, and we've been talking about the latest round of UN climate change talks.